So December's always a lovely opportunity to reflect on the year that was and celebrate it with family and friends, and then make room for the new year and what we want that to look like. And so we had a lovely conversation last week with Shira Gill about that important relationship between our internal reality and our physical environment, and how we can utilize the power of organization to gain clarity about what's most important and make room for it. And this week, we're going to back into that same conversation from a different perspective by speaking to Sara Bird Nelson about how we can utilize the principles of Feng Shui in order to create an energy flow in our living space that supports what we want to bring into our life. And Sarah combines her work as a Reiki master and teacher and her work as a Feng Shui practitioner to help you listen to how you want to feel in your body, remove the blockages that prevent you from making decisions that you feel sure about, and creating a living space that supports what you want to bring into your life. So you're going to love her approach. So let's get the skinny from Sara Bird Nelson. Oh, Sarah, I am excited to dive into things, all feng shui, but also your incredible story, because it just fascinates me how you've given yourself permission to define things on your terms. And so I want to go back to some of these it has to be me moments
Sure.
when you were working in the nonprofit sector and all that sort of thing. And you kind of had your it does not have to be me moment, right? So can you take me inside of that?
I love how you just said that because that is so right. It didn't have to be me.
Yeah.
Um, yes. So I was in a lovely job, um, with the most wonderful clients and colleagues that anyone could ever ask for. We had just moved from Boston up to Maine to Portland, and little bit into this move, I started becoming numb on just like my left face, like right here, my left hand and my left foot.
All the
And
time?
no, it was very intermittent. It would just sort of show up, and it was so hard to describe. The only way I could describe it to anyone was that, when you're in a car and the sun's coming in, and like this side of your face is like really warm because of the sun.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like, but from the inside out. And I
Ooh.
know that sounds crazy.
No, it doesn't sound crazy. I'm
It felt
just
crazy.
trying to put that into my body and kind of understand what that might feel like. So when you say
Yeah.
that it was intermittent and sporadic, it would just come and go and you couldn't connect the dots of what might be causing it?
No, nothing. I
That
played
must have
with
been
my
scary.
eating. Yeah, at first it was more annoying. It really was. And one of those big moments for me was finally listening to my body,
Yes.
because I don't think I had.
So
Well,
you were
I should
ignoring it.
correct myself. I know I had not been listening to my body.
Ooh. So had you been an intuitive person up until that point where you had been listening to your body, or was this an it has to be me moment? You got to listen to your body. We're speaking to you.
This was a has to be me moment, because I was playing in the world that I'm in now,
Mm.
this spirituality, intuitive healing arts world. I was playing and dabbling in that at the time.
What do you mean by that? What does
But
that look
just
like?
like reading and exploring and, um, just exploring really. I guess mostly reading about it. My mom was a little into it. And so, I mean, at that point, I just was not listening at all, except for this little wake up call that I was having. And I finally found a doctor to take me. They thought I was having a stroke. I told them I'm not having a stroke because I am driving and being a mom and being a wife and a colleague and doing all of this work and traveling, um, bopping down to DC and Chicago and New York City to see clients and all the things, fully functioning. However, this would just present itself. No rhyme or reason, no timing connection, no sleep connection, no food connection, no connection. So I found a doctor. They first thought that I had multiple sclerosis, and I I didn't quite believe it. And so through a too many tests, funky tests, like where they'd like shock me and do these weird things, and
Wow.
MRIs and all these things, they couldn't figure it out. There was no MS presenting itself. And the testing was across a solid year because nothing was showing up in anything we did. In any changes I made, nothing was shifting. And it
Wow.
wasn't painful. So it was just, like I said, annoying. It was just annoying and inexplicable. So eventually the doctors were like, well, we think it must be stress, and sent me on my way. And again, another moment was I would sit there and say, I don't feel stressed. I'm not stressed. Like, I love the people I work with. You know, the work wasn't my favorite. The actual like number crunching wasn't my favorite, but the
Yeah.
people I adored. Um, and the clients I adored, and the traveling I loved, and all of it. But what I came to realize is I am a hypervigilant doer.
Mm.
And I was in so much doing that I wasn't listening to my body. I didn't realize what stress was. I had on and off meditated, but that never really, I'll put in quotes, worked. I didn't even know why I was really meditating in those moments. And so there I sat with a diagnosis of stressed out.
It's so, gosh, this story of learning to recognize stress, the way that it is presenting in your body and your life,
Huge.
regardless of how somebody else understands stress or interprets stress or validates the existence of stress, or this is such a common story,
Mm.
particularly in women. And I'm really particularly interested in your term, I was a hypervigilant doer. Hello, my name is Tess. Hello, Sarah. I meet you. I am a
Right?
hypervigilant doer, right?
Right?
And right? And that there is this societal belief that women should be superheroes. But you don't want to proclaim yourself a superhero because then you're stepping out and being too big, and there's this
Totally.
constant container that we feel like we have to put ourselves in order to be understood by the rest of the world. And we don't give ourselves permission to be who we are and have our full human experience that is unique to us, whether it makes sense to anybody else or not. So was that really the seed or the big invitation for you to really embrace your body intelligence and the intuitive nature of you in a much bigger way? Is that the right way to say it?
Absolutely. I think it was a doorway. I just
Mm.
didn't know it was a doorway. At that moment, I was like, bring on all of the healing arts. Because if medicine can't help me here, then what can? And because I had dabbled, I just knew enough to start exploring acupuncture, to start exploring different types of massage. And I just
So
started
what
exploring.
was the it has to be me moment when you gave yourself permission to recognize that you were experiencing stress enough to go and
Shoot.
seek out help from
Yeah,
these modalities?
that's a great question. I feel when I look back, I feel like it was me not wanting to have any type of diagnosis.
Mm.
So the moment they said multiple sclerosis, I knew too much about that illness to accept it.
Mm.
And I thought, I don't want to be a diagnosis. And so, how can I figure this out? Because if it's not stress, then it's going to keep going. And I'm going to have to go back to the doctors and say, I need more support.
Oh, so stress was the lesser of the evils. Is that what you're saying to me? Okay,
Yeah.
so that helped you when presented with these choices, you decided to embrace this particular description of what was going on, for want of a better
Hmm.
term, and decide that you were going to be proactive in seeking out other kinds of solutions.
Yes.
Is that the right way to interpret
That's
it, what you were
exactly
saying?
right. Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So then take me inside how you really embraced, rather than out of desperation, I'm going to go down and dabble with these things. How did it go from dabbling to doing, and then doing to really believing with the
Right.
Reiki?
Yes. So I did all, like I said, I did all the things: massage, acupuncture, all these different modalities. And one of those modalities was Reiki. Now, my first Reiki session, it was not a comfortable session. And so my mom said, and my mom's the one that said, try Reiki. And so then I go back and I'm like, Mom, that was weird. I'm not doing that again. And it was like, that was
What
too
was
weird.
weird about it?
Um, so I laid on the table and we didn't really speak much. And then there was a lot of like jingling and jangling and chimes and noise. And it just felt, and maybe it's what I needed now practicing. I don't know. I can look at it from a different perspective. However, in that moment, it was so unpleasant.
It
It
just
was so
didn't feel
unpleasant.
right.
It just didn't feel right.
Right.
The person was absolutely lovely, but it didn't do anything, I guess you could say. And then in that time of that hypervigilant doer, I was solution seeking.
Right. You
I
know what's
wanted a
coming up for
fix
me as you're saying this though? It did do something. It got you gave you clarity about what you didn't want.
completely. Yeah. Yes.
So it's interesting, isn't it, when we go into a situation and it feels like, well, this didn't do anything, but it actually did. You
It
know,
actually
if
did.
we're looking at it that way, right? It's just fascinating to me. So, okay, so that particular practitioner and the
Yep.
way she interpreted Reiki and your particular energies together was not the right fit for you. So that
Nope.
was, it does not have to be me moment,
That was right. That's not me. So I
right?
moved
So,
on to another practitioner.
and was it your trust in your mother's recommendation that made you give it a second go?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then you had a good experience?
Yes, I had an amazing experience and I continued to work with this woman and she was wonderful and I started to feel relief. Now that wasn't immediate and I was, like I said, I am a results oriented woman. I am an
Yes, me too.
achiever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't immediate and I started to learn that I had to speak to my body. And I was doing that through Reiki with her. And then I was feeling relief. So the numbness was happening less often, still happening, however, less often. And
Give
then
me an
she said,
example of what talking to my body looks like for you.
so at that point, she encouraged me to sit in meditation every morning. And I would talk to my nervous system. I would tell the story of me being calm and focused and looking forward to that day in a way where I was visualizing my day and visualizing it from a place where there was really no room for me to feel off.
Mm.
And I did that. And then eventually she said, I can teach you Reiki so that you can do it to yourself. And in between our sessions, we'll start spreading our sessions out further. And she allowed me and gave me that permission to fully invest energetically into my being by teaching me Reiki.
And was that the first time that you had invested in your wellness in that way with such a
Yes,
dedication?
with such dedication.
Oh, so
With
it was a real turning point for you.
It was, and it was one of those moments that carried such focus that, sure, I always exercised. I always, again, in quotes, ate right. I did all those things. I would run and, go to yoga class and all of that. But this was tuning into a different part of me, the energetic part, not the physical part, that had me take like a right turn down a different path.
And so this just felt right for you. You were feeling the difference in your being.
Yes.
So take me into the next It Has to Be Me moment where you
Yep.
went from fully embracing and believing in Reiki as a person and the recipient of another practitioner's zone of genius into deciding, I want to practice Reiki and help
Mm,
other people to listen and speak to their bodies.
yes. So, um, as I was, told that I was stressed out, I started, as I was tuning in more to this energetic part of myself, I started to crave some creativity. So, my sister in law at the time was doing a jewelry gig. So, I did the jewelry gig thinking that would get me out of the house, allow me to meet people and fulfill this creative side of me, but also still be sales doer driven.
So you were selling
So,
jewelry at parties or at
yeah, I'd go
fairs
to
or?
people's houses, set up a dining room table,
Oh, I see. Okay.
and sell the bracelets.
Okay.
So as I was doing that, that took off pretty quickly. And I was like, and I just did it on the side, for fun. And remember, we were still pretty new here in Maine. So this was also a way for me to just expand a network of friends and meet
And
people,
socialize.
socialize.
Yeah.
Totally. Two young kids got me out of the house, was so fun. And as my health and connection to Reiki was unfolding, I did the next class and became certified. And at the same time, that's when I started to pick up this interest in Feng Shui. And in that time, I went and I was certified in Feng Shui in Tennessee. And I
But
started to,
take me inside of the how you pick it up. I mean, I have a general interest in it, but I'm not picking it. I'm not deciding it has to be me to be a feng shui practitioner.
right,
I
I
need a
am
bit
the,
I need a bit more detail. I got to color
okay,
it in here.
all right. So my husband would say that anytime I felt off, I would ask him to help me move furniture. Be like, can we put the couch over here? Let's switch this room to that room. And at the same time, I'm very into Reiki, right? So I'm very in tune to energy. And so, in my exploration of the energetic body, what that means, how that unfolds, I came across Feng Shui and a practice that I had heard about before. I had a few books, I got a few more books, and honestly, none of them really made sense to me. I didn't know what to do with it. So I found I don't even, honestly, I don't even know. It like popped up somewhere in my life. And it was 3.5 days in Nashville. And I was like, oh, I can take 3.5 days away. I'm going to do that. So at that point, it was purely just an interest.
Yeah.
So at the end of that class, at the end of those 3.5 days, the teacher goes around and says, okay, tell me how you're going to implement this. And by the time she got to me, I had written a business plan. I'm not
Oh, there's
hyper-vigilant.
that little doer. Bob it away. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I mapped out a business plan, and I was going to, it was something like, I need to remember, style, self, space. That's what it was. So style, the whole jewelry thing. And at that point I thought it would be fun to like clean out people's closets and help them with that. And then the self was going to be the Reiki, and the space was going to be the Feng Shui. So I
So
come
you were
back.
so inspired by this class
Oh,
that you
crazy
decided
inspired.
right then and there, I am putting this into practice in my life in a really tangible way. And I'm going to merge it with these two other things that I'm doing right now: the
Yes.
jewelry, the helping people organize their lives, style their lives, and then Reiki with the energy. Wow. Okay. So you read out the business plan. So you gave voice to it in a public
Yes,
forum.
in this class, and they all were just like, "What? How are you get what?" And even during the class, I remember calling home twice and saying to Chris, "Okay, before I get home, you need to remove this mirror and you need to change these pillows." You probably think
Because
I
I will
am
not have the
nuts.
right energy to pursue this if I walk into our space and the mirror is in the wrong place. I love it.
I know.
And did
I
he move the
sound
mirror and
nuts.
the pillows?
He did. He's an amazing man. I don't know what to
Happy
say.
mommy, happy life.
Totally, he's an amazing man, so patient. So yeah, so I was changed. I got on
Wow.
the plane, and I came home and sat him down, and I was like, this is what I'm doing, and this is how it's going to unfold, and all of this. Now, I still kept the corporate job because, honestly, money.
Of course.
um and I still kept the jewelry gig because that was, again, expanding my network.
Yes.
So now I'm standing around these tables selling a couple of bracelets and necklaces, but hearing women talk about how they felt, how they would never wear that big of a necklace because that would be too showy. And I started to, from an energetic standpoint, stand around that table and really listen to what these women were saying and talk to them about their energy, talk to them about their homes. And then one night I came home from one of these parties and I looked at my sales and I was like, wow, it's time to give this up. It's time to let this go. It was a beautiful conduit to get me to this point now. And again, I'm
Yeah.
still in the corporate world, and I
Oh, I love that
kept
moment of
going.
you recognizing
Mm,
I'm not actually supposed to be selling bracelets. Like, this does not have to be me. This is another, it does
exactly.
not have to be me moment. And recognizing the purpose of that chapter and your place in it. And I think what I love about this part of your story is we often just don't give ourselves permission to walk away from something and say, and done and seen, right? Chapter closed. And this is the purpose that it served for me. And it's not a failure that I'm saying no to it now. And I love that you closed that door, opened the window that it presented, and jumped through it, or the door, or however we want to say it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
did you leverage that circle, that network that you had been connected to in that jewelry business to continue helping these women understand themselves better? So you really drafted off of that network that you had created to build your business?
I did. I did. And I was starting to get emails where someone would say, I got the bracelet, I love it, and I did this and this and this in my home, and I've started meditating, and my life has changed.
Yeah.
And so those are the people that I started to slowly stay connected with about this work. And it
Mm.
was very conversational. Um,
It was very organic. It sounds like it was very organic and kind of just a natural progression.
mhm. Yeah, and
And you
that's
allowed it to be that.
I did. And I would say that was probably the first time that letting go of something like that jewelry gig was peaceful. That
Mm,
I didn't leave it feeling like a failure. It was hard to tell the people that I was doing that with that I was leaving, but that not feeling like a failure about it and releasing it in a way that felt good and right to
mm.
me, um, really allowed me to step into the next, truly a next version of myself.
Yeah, the next it has to be me. So talk me through how you made sense of these different buckets, of work that you were engaged in, that
Yep.
you were discovering and swimming around in. So you had your Reiki practice, and
Hmm.
then you certified as a Feng Shui practitioner. I'm interested in these two parts of your business because from an outsider's perspective, someone that's coming into your business, they may not at first understand how these two things fit together. So,
Absolutely.
what I love about your business and your career is you giving yourself permission to hold these two things that you are interested in, the two ways that you help people in your own way, and
Hmm.
allow your connection with each client to unfold naturally. So can you take me inside how that's developed, where you might have a client coming to you for Reiki and then you may end up helping them with the feng shui or vice versa? How did that sit with you, and how did you get comfortable with presenting yourself as these two seemingly different practitioners?
Sure. It's a really good question
Is that the right way to
because
say it?
it totally is.
Okay.
And so I've been doing this for over a decade. It's taken a long time for me to figure out how to weave them together.
Mm.
So at first, I definitely had my Reiki lane and I had Reiki clients showing up to my studio. Well, honestly, first it was friends and family showing up to my living room where we moved a couch and set up a massage table and pulled some curtains so it felt cozy.
I mean, I think that's how
And
we all start our businesses though, right? I mean, when I
right?
started the Blender Girl website, it was my mother and my sister reading my blog and nobody else, and then it was a few
Absolutely.
friends, and you know what I mean? I mean,
Yes,
we just allow ourselves for it to be that. We've all got to start somewhere.
absolutely. And that is how I started Reiki. And the feng shui was also really the same. People would ask me to come help with them with their closets, and
Mm.
I would be in their homes. I'd be like, oh, you know what? What about this in your bedroom? Because closet is in the bedroom. What about this? What about that? And all of that slowly unfolded. But I definitely had this mindset of I have a Reiki practice and a feng shui practice. And I would say, which is, I think, one of the things that I have had to learn to accept as a compliment was that I really, really know how to listen.
Mm.
And that by listening and synthesizing what people are feeling and saying, I started to see them intertwining the Reiki and the feng shui.
Yeah, I love the trust that you held for yourself.
It was hard.
Because, a lot of people, when they have two interests or two seemingly disparate careers, well, you have to choose. You're either a Reiki practitioner or you're a Feng Shui practitioner. What are you? You've got to put your time and energy into one lane. Stay in your lane. I mean, there's all these narratives around the, choices that we should be making because
Right.
so and so went down that path, or that's the path to success, or that's how you get to being, growing your practice or whatever. Take me inside of the process. You said it took time for you to understand how to weave them together. I
Mm.
just want to understand a bit more about how you deliberately chose to hold them both and give yourself permission that you didn't have to choose between one or the other. Like so many people, go
Right.
down
And
that
and I
path.
mean, even So even starting a business, people will, want a business card or you fill out a form and they want your title. I had like 2, 3 titles. I
Yeah.
never knew what to write. Am
Yeah.
I doing Reiki? Am I doing Feng Shui? Am I doing mindfulness? Like all of these things.
Yeah.
So I still don't have a title. I don't
I
worry
still
about
don't know
that.
what to put on
But
mine either. I mean, there's like
like,
17 things that I do. Yeah.
yeah, totally. Right? Yes. So I would say as I grew into trusting my intuition and trusting the
Ooh.
information I was receiving,
Yes.
that was becoming a real powerful part of my Reiki practice. And then over the global shutdown, I brought feng shui online through Zoom and I taught my first class on feng shui. And I had about 10 to 12 amazing women show up. And strangely, I didn't know many of them. I thought it would just be all my buddies. Um, and as they were describing their space related to the areas of their life that we were focusing on in regards to their space. So without getting technical, feng shui is based on a bagua map that has 9 areas that relate to different parts of our lives. So
Mm,
wealth and abundance, health and well-being, um, career and life purpose, love and relationships. Those are a few of them. And I started to realize that I could tell them that they had to put the plant here, but the real learning was why they needed the plant or
mm,
why they needed the mirror or why they needed to move XYZ or add this. And I really had to tune into their whole being as they're speaking to me and sharing really intimate details about their lives. And I could feel this energy within me. My spine like lights up when I know something's happening and I'm
mm,
opening up to some download. And that was happening. And I started to realize that the methodology of feng shui is so supported by the energy that we carry as humans. And that
mm.
when we start to connect to the energy of our surroundings, our heart and our home, without being too cheesy, really start to meld. And there is great, amazing power in that.
Let's dive into some of this power. All right. So that we can get some of your wisdom about some things that we can be doing
Oh, yes.
to shift our physical space to bring in the things that we want in our lives. So, what is the biggest thing that people come to you with? The biggest concern or the thing that they want to shift or things that they want to shift? What are some of the top things and
Sure.
that you work with people on?
Relationships,
Oh,
career.
you mean improving relationships, bringing in a new relationship, bringing in new love?
So divorce, dating, uh, kids transitioning, moving to an empty nest
Mm.
situation, kids going off to college or moving out of the house, hmm, kids moving back into the house.
Okay, so talk us through what our space needs to look like if we
Okay,
want to get out of a relationship that is not right for us anymore.
sure. So, oftentimes, when we are looking to exit a relationship, there is an imbalance of some sort. So, it can be an imbalance of personal well being. So, when you work with health and well being and feng shui, and I believe you will fully relate to this test, it sits in the center of the Bagua map. So, when
I'll bet it does.
oh, yes,
Yes.
it does. When you impact health and wellness, it touches all the other areas of your life.
Yes.
right? So when we're getting out of a relationship, I'm typically working on the center of the home, also their health and wellness routine, and just giving them guidance around health and well-being, paying attention to their bodies, paying attention to their energy. And then from there, we work on the relationships area, because often when we're exiting a relationship, whether we want it or not, we move into this energy of lack. We weren't good enough, it didn't work out,
Yes.
my looks, my behaviors, whatever it is. So we come back to love and relationships, that area in on the Bagua map in their home and their bedroom. And we start to create a sanctuary. So your bedroom can be in that area on the Bagua map, or it can be separate. And we start to create a sanctuary in your bedroom.
So how do
So,
you create a sanctuary in your bedroom on a
all right.
practical
So there are a
level?
couple things we let go of, which this will stir up a lot of grumpiness. So bear with me.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. So the first thing is, if you are in a divorced situation, or even if it's like, partnership, boyfriend, girlfriend, any pictures that you have in your bedroom other than of partnership between you and your current spouse, your current partner, need to go. So really what I'm saying is, take the pictures of the kids and the family vacations out of your bedroom. I want this room to be completely about you and only you.
Okay.
And if you're with a partner, so say you're not exiting a relationship and you're building a relationship, then there can be pictures of you two on your hike or your wedding picture or whatnot. But it's not the wedding picture with all the wedding party in it. It's the picture of just you two.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what that does is that creates an energy that brings us right back into ourselves, so that there's none of this external energy, none of these external stories that are energetically feeding us.
Mm.
Okay. Does that make sense?
It does. So if you are exiting the relationship and you remove the photos, do you put like, I'm trying to think of like women who are like, right, this is a chapter just for me. I'm going to fall in love with myself and have a love affair with myself. Like, do you put a picture of you in Italy, or, you know what I mean? Do you do
You
that?
absolutely can.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Now, anything in that bedroom of yours should represent partnership. So, having a picture of, say, you love horses, having a picture of one horse versus two horses, the two horse picture would be better. Two horses at the fence,
Right.
hanging
So you
out
don't want a lonely
together.
horse by itself.
No.
Okay.
So, your listeners can go walk around their bedrooms and just notice what feels like single. So, from a decorating
Yeah.
standpoint, odds are often more eye pleasing, but on your bed, have an even number of pillows.
And you would have an even, like a dresser on each side of the bed. If you were going
Yes,
to have a dresser, you would need the one for the person you want to bring in. Do they have to
exactly.
be matching?
No, because we're not matching.
No, we're different
No,
beings.
we're
Okay,
different
thank
beings.
you. Okay,
Yes.
good.
However, I do suggest that they're roughly the same size, scope.
They're complementary. They fit
Mhm.
together.
Yes. So if
Yeah.
there's a lamp on one, put a lamp on the other.
Okay.
So that your partner, now that you've exited this relationship, your partner has a space to lay in bed and read. Your partner can get around and get into bed on that side. So move
Yes.
if you
So you
can.
would not put the bed up against the wall, like where you
Not
can only get into the bed on one side.
great. Ideally, no. If you can move it over, move it
Mm.
over. Now, the way I do approach feng shui is that we have to live in our homes. And there are times where closets and windows, or, things impede the ability to have the bed away from the wall. But if there is any possible way to do it, that is what I suggest.
And so I've heard all these things over the years about where the bed should be in the room in relation
Yes.
to the doorway.
Yes.
Talk me through that.
Yes. So you want to be lying in bed as if you're reading a book and see what is coming towards you. So doorways, our front door, the door we use, the side door, the back door, doors in our rooms are doorways of opportunity. Chi or
Yes.
energy flows in your door and then moves throughout your home. And that's the same in the bedroom. The energy moves in to your room and you want to be able to see what's coming.
Yes. Okay.
So there is what is called the death position. And that is
Oh
where
gosh, what's that?
I know that's so creepy. I rarely use that word. That is where your
Well, there's a
feet,
death card in tarot, and it's not always a bad thing, right?
that's true. That's
Yeah.
this isn't so great. This is where
Oh.
your feet are lined up with your doorway. So as if you're like
Ooh.
being carried out.
Oh, that's not good. All right. So
No,
we don't want the bed, the end of the bed to be looking at the doorway.
right. Like
Okay.
right in line.
In line.
Right.
Ooh. Okay.
Yes. So move it a little over so that you can see the doorway. So if this camera is my doorway,
Yeah.
my bed could sit here. So camera's
Right.
here.
Okay.
My
Not
bed
in
could
the
sit
center.
here.
Yep.
My bed could sit here because I can see this doorway.
Okay. Okay.
Here, ideally not on the same wall as the door because I would have to turn and look.
Yes. Yes. Oh, okay. So you talked about mirrors before. Should
Yes.
there be mirrors in your bedroom? What do
So
they represent?
yeah, mirrors are amazing cures, is what they're called in Feng Shui, because they amplify energy.
Okay.
So think about end of the day, you're exhausted. What are you carrying into your bedroom? Because that is going to be amplified. Now, the reality is that we are not happily skipping to bed every night. We are often working through our day at the
Mm.
end of the day. And so if you're doing that and there's a mirror hanging out in your bedroom, it's going to magnify that and send it right back to you. So ideally, and again, I will say this 1,000 times, you need to live in your home. Okay.
But we shouldn't have a mirror in our bedroom. Is that what you're saying,
However,
ideally?
ideally, only
Okay.
because it magnifies any stress that you're carrying. And if
Interesting.
anybody is from, I don't know if you're familiar with Louise Hay
Yes.
House
Yes.
Publishing. In her book, I think it's You Can Heal Yourself. She talks about mirror work and looking in the mirror and saying, looking in your eyes and saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. So while you're brushing your teeth or washing your face, getting ready for bed, taking some time, I love you, I love you, I love you.
So it magnifies that energy about yourself.
Yeah.
So where are we allowed to put mirrors? Where should we put
So like
mirrors? Or
in the
where's the best
closet,
place to put mirrors?
totally in the closet on the back of the door so that you can close the door. And you know, if they're going to be in your bedroom, have them on the same wall as your bed. So if you can. So if you've got your bed here, your little nightstand, and you want a makeup table, a get ready in the morning table,
Mm,
put it on the same wall so that the mirror isn't facing the bed.
got it. Okay. And
And
so i- where should we be placing a mirror outside of the closet that's in our, sleeping,
the
dressing, getting
hallway is
ready
a great
space?
place.
Where?
The hallway to the
The
bedroom.
hallway. Why in the hallway?
So oftentimes hallways upstairs are like a shot, like they're long and they go from one end of the house to the other. So that if you think about water rushing, if water came down that hallway, it would have a straight shot down to the other end of the house. And we want to create this in our whole house, so this meandering energy, this meandering chi, like a gentle river of energy through our home.
So you're
And
talking
so a
about
mirror,
putting a mirror at the end of the hallway or on the
no,
sides of the
side,
hallway?
on the
Sides.
side.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
a mirror will, what do we do when we walk by a mirror? We stop
We
and
look
we check
in it.
ourselves out. So that slows down energy.
Yes. I see. Okay, and it kinda just disrupts but invites. Is
Yes.
that is that the
Like
right
if
way to
you
say it?
walk upstairs at my house, you take a right, it's a long hallway, and then you go straight into our bedroom. And at the end of that is a big window. So technically, if I didn't have a mirror there and I was really paying attention to how energy was flowing upstairs, I would come up and all of my energy would go down the hallway out the window. And the
Interesting.
mirror just slows it down. It's like a gathering spot for
Yeah,
energy.
it's
And then
kind
it's
of
like,
like
okay, I can
inviting the
go
power
again.
of the pause. Where do I wanna
Power
be
of
putting
the pause.
my time,
Yes,
energy, and focus? Okay.
I love that. I've never put those two together. I love that.
So just tell me if I'm interpreting this
Yeah.
in the appropriate way. Your space, you want to create a space that invites opportunities for you to bring in what you want and grow. And what
Yeah.
about windows? What should we be doing around windows?
So windows are like the eyes to the soul. Now, they function in a couple different ways. Like I said, like that story I just told about the energy going out the window.
Mm,
I keep a shade down and I keep curtains closed for that window in our bedroom so that I'm preventing energy from going out. Ideally,
all
now
the
this
time, like the windows and
I do
shades.
keep that all the time. And
Okay,
yes,
wow.
yeah.
All right.
Unless that's like where we put our little window air conditioner in the summer.
Mm,
So then it's up a little, but
okay. So
still
so
I
that room is
close.
dark.
No, I have windows on the other sides of the room that let in light.
Okay, so it's the window by the bed, not
Yeah.
all the windows in the bedroom.
Right. It's well, for me, it's the window at the end of the hallway.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
back in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay, so the hallway, that one remains closed, so the energy that you're working with doesn't fly out the window.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because ultimately what likely could happen is I every time I come upstairs to go to bed or spend time in my room, it would feel depleted. I would feel depleted because my energy is
Yeah.
escaping. So
Ooh,
here's where we
okay.
start to tie it to the energy of our being. Like that
Yes.
would cause depleting energy. Mirrors, when we are not in this positive place and we're having difficult conversations in front of them, that causes draining energy, which is really what we're trying to prevent in the bedroom so that we go to sleep peacefully.
Right.
Ultimately, the mirror will impact sleep. So if anybody is not sleeping well,
Interesting.
I challenge you to drape a scarf over the mirror for a month and a half, and just see if it changes anything. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, that's fine.
Gosh, I could talk about this all day long.
I know,
Okay, so
same.
besides on the sides of a hallway, where
Mhm.
is a good place to put a mirror? I'm trying to think of, like, people put mirrors on top of their fireplace. People put mirrors in the living room above the couch, to make the room look bigger, and all these things that we do. Where is a wonderful place to put the mirror?
So we talked about doors and connected to opportunity. So energy from the universe enters through your door, follows you in. A great place to have a mirror is on the side. So, again, like this camera is my doorway and I'm coming into my house, a mirror here or a mirror here
On the sides as you're
will,
coming in.
yes, will just cause me to slow down. A little table to throw your keys causes you to slow down. And to your point, to
Yeah.
pause.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
so
getting this.
important.
Okay, this is really, really interesting. So, what about if we want to bring in more money, more abundance? I would have to imagine that's another thing that people come to you
Huge.
for. Okay.
Yes. So the first thing is I want you to walk around your home and feel the abundance that is already there. And here's where our energetic body, our heart, our soul, our being starts to connect with our home. The fact that you have a roof over your head is abundant. The fact that you have
Yes.
four walls around you, abundant. That you have running water, abundant. And we overlook the already abundant energy that we're holding in
Yes.
our life because it's so easy socially to live in lack. I want the next thing. My kitchen doesn't have granite countertops. Like all of these
Yeah.
aesthetic things that, sure, make a home beautiful, but really tuning into the abundance that is already around you.
And sitting in gratitude and building from what you have already given yourself or the universe has
Yes.
given you or that
Chills.
kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a personal practice, like a meditation, like a ritual that you would
Yes.
walk around your home, really notice and pay attention to the things. So would the next step of that be noticing what makes you feel good about your space? What gives you joy
Absolutely.
about your space?
Yep. So then the next suggestion would be to notice the things you have. So now you've noticed the structure. Now go deeper and start to notice the things that surround you. And notice. I'll go Marie Kondo on you. Does it bring you joy?
Get rid
I
of it.
mean,
Yeah.
right? And if it doesn't, then think about why you have it. Now, a
Mm.
good place to look is artwork and pictures. Pictures are a big one, and I'll give a quick personal story to illustrate what I mean. In that we were at a fundraiser, I bid on a photographer for a family photo shoot. I won that. I buy the cute outfits for all four of us, and no one other than my husband, who was absolutely being kind. Um, the kids do not want to wear what I have for them. And,
Yeah.
you know, looking back, I mean, they're adults now, but they were pretty chill kids. Not that day. Nightmare. It was a nightmare. Like trying to, strong arm them to buckle them up in their car seats. Like it was a fight all morning. And so we get into Portland to this fountain, and it's a beautiful day, and their faces are red, and I have steam coming out of my ears. And Chris is just trying to maintain
Yeah.
peace and joy for all of us. And we take the pictures, we get through it, we go home. And a few weeks later, I have an envelope show up, and I open it up, and there's some prints and a CD of all the pictures she took. And this woman was absolutely lovely. And they went right in the trash.
Because it had captured this really stressful little moment in time. Okay.
Now she managed to get the red out of the kids' crying faces, and she did all the good things a photographer would do. And the pictures, some of them were absolutely stunning. Like I was like, oh, that'd be a great Christmas card. But no, all I see is my anger. Not even the kids
Yeah.
being upset, but I could feel like it was just happening in that moment, that
And not
steam rising up in
authentic
me.
either. Like a glossed over, airbrushed version of your reality.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use that story, it's a real story, to illustrate that if you're looking at a picture and that vacation was really stressful for you, I'd find another picture,
Yes.
because you don't realize the energy that you're picking up from that picture. It's all
Yeah.
subconscious. It all sits really deep within us. And that does not lead to an abundant feeling.
Yeah. So then what can we put into our homes? We've talked about what we can take away. What can
Yep.
we put into our homes that will help us cultivate and maintain a feeling of abundance, to
Yes.
welcome in more abundance?
Yep. So, from a traditional feng shui perspective, the element for wealth and abundance is the element of wood. Now, there is what is considered dead wood and live wood. There's dead wood that makes up the desk I'm sitting at, the floors, the structures, the coffee table, if it's wood. So that's considered dead wood. That is important to give structure. So if you are somebody who has this churn, constant churn, you earn money, you spend money, you earn money, you spend money, that is about creating a structure. Now, beyond feng shui, that's about budgeting or, putting your money where you want it to be. So a little different vibe from budgeting. Budgeting can feel restrictive for some, but this is like saying, I want electricity, so I'm going to allocate $150 to the electricity bill every month. I would like water, so I'm going to give this much. And I would like groceries, so I'm going to give this much. So it's just a different shift in mindset.
Yeah.
So bringing in wood to that wealth and abundance area of your home, and I'll explain where that is in a second, brings structure. All right. Now, layered on top of that is bringing in a live plant so that you
Also,
are,
that's why we need the plant. Got
yes.
it.
So you are nurturing,
Yeah, something that's living and
nurturing
growing
growth, hmm
and
nurturing
requires
growth.
attention and
Absolutely.
nourishment and
Yes.
light and
Yes.
water and
Yes.
food. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Now,
So
sort of,
so a plant draws your attention to the necessity for care, for love, for
hmm
I love
yep.
that.
Yep. Snake plant is my go-to for anyone who's sitting here saying, I don't have a green thumb. And snake plants create, for two
Oh, because
reasons.
it doesn't require much attention and it keeps
They
living.
don't. They're
Yeah, okay, that would be a
so
snake plants for me then.
hardy.
Yeah.
They're so hardy.
Okay.
Plants like succulents, because they hold water. Water, feng is wind, shui is water. It is the energy of abundance, is really what feng shui means. And water is abundance. And so succulents hold water. So those are also good
Interesting.
plants.
I love that
Yes.
you chose to talk about succulents because people think of those as like, oh, they're not that pretty. They're like desert plants. They're like, nothing, but you're actually saying that's a really, really good thing to have.
Yes, absolutely. Now, having a cactus, that's a little prickly. So I don't recommend a cactus. And in fact, we have a cactus from the first time my son went to Arizona. He came back to Boston at the time and had to have a cactus. So we bought this tiny little cactus, and this poor thing, it's still alive. It does not know it's a cactus because it did not grow straight up. It's all curvy and it doesn't really have prickles on it. It's the I really think that I've talked to it so much about being kind and not prickly that it's like, fine,
Oh,
I will
oh,
grow in this weird,
yeah.
vibey way.
I love
So,
it.
yeah.
A
So,
cactus
anyways,
that thinks it's
plants.
a sunflower. I love it.
It
That's
does.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to go back to this health and wellness thing, obviously, because I have a
Yeah.
particular interest in that. And so many of our listeners do, because they come from the Skinny 60 or the Decadent Detox communities.
Yes. I love the decadent detox, by the way.
Oh, thank
I do
you.
that.
So we sort of didn't dive into the health and wellness thing. Like,
Mhm.
so you talked about the center of your home. What is the center of your home? You talked about
So,
that.
yeah, that
How
is
can
the
we nurture that so that we are putting ourselves in a container where we are going to achieve and maintain better health?
you just used the perfect word, container. So it is the earth element. The earth is our container. And so looking at that center of your home as a place to hold your intention. So even if the center of your home isn't your kitchen and it's
What
the
is the
living room.
center of your home, though? How do you define that?
Yes, thank you. I meant to talk about that when we were talking about wealth. So go out to the road and look at your home and look at it from where the front door sits. So the architectural front door. Here in Maine, we have a mudroom and a front door. We use the mudroom door or the garage door. We rarely use the architectural front door. So, and maybe that's even on the side of the house and not even from the street, but stand back and look at your house. You can do this on Google Maps. You can do it just standing in your front and just sort of find the center of your home. So divide it into thirds this way and find the center, and then divide it into thirds this way. And whatever room is in the center is health and wellness, health and well being.
Ooh,
The
okay.
wealth and abundant corner. So if you're standing at your front door, look to the back left. It my maybe on screen it looks like I'm pointing right. This It's backwards all the time. So look to your back left corner, and that is wealth and abundance.
Okay, so
So
the far
that's where you
left
want to
corner.
bring that nurturing plant in, the
So to
colorful.
foster health and wellness and put ourselves in a container that
Mhm.
supports that agenda
Yes.
or that dream or that goal, what do we have to be putting in the space?
Yes. So it depends on what room it is and how you do it, but using containers such as baskets and whatnot to keep things tidy is really important here. Keeping things, the decluttering piece, important for health and well being. Again, it touches every other part of our life. Um, the other cure that I like to do, and I learned this from my Feng Shui teacher, is to take a clay bowl. So clay represents earth, so an earthenware bowl,
Mm.
and it can be any size. Size does not matter here. And put it in the center of your home. So it might be on the dining room table, it might be on the kitchen counter, wherever it ends up. Tell your family we're not throwing anything in there, and instead sit with that bowl and put intentions into that bowl, intentions for any area of your life, and let your health, your well-being with this bowl, with Mother Earth, hold those intentions.
You mean like put them on pieces of paper and write them down and
You
put them in
could,
the bowl and
I
leave them
just
there?
mentally put them in so the
Oh,
bowl stays empty.
mentally, you just intentionally put them into the bowl. Oh, I
Yeah, now
love
if
that.
this is vibey for your family, they could all do it. My family
Yeah.
is just like, whatever, mom. I mean, they love what I do, but they don't necessarily get what I do.
Yeah.
So I do it for me, for a family, for what we want to go back to Europe and travel. We want to do this. So even like real intentions like that. Or
Yeah.
I am I would like to start walking more. Put that in the bowl. And that bowl, that container,
Yeah.
represents the element of earth holding us, supporting us. Now, the other part of that is to really get grounded in the energy of that which you desire. Again, that brings in the earth element, that grounding, stepping on the grass, stepping in the sand, and feeling the vibration of the earth
Yeah.
is just as important. And this is where I start to intertwine that energy of heart into energy of surroundings. That grounding and feeling the earth support you in your desires is just as important as placing an intention in a clay earthenware bowl.
Yes. Thank you for that. It is such an important practice
Mm-hmm.
to be doing that and getting out and connecting in that way. Oh, Sarah, I could talk to you about this all day long. Oh, I always close every episode with the same question, and I'm so excited to hear what you're going to say within the context of the conversation that we have been
Yes.
having about the energy of our beings. For somebody who has a dream in their heart and doesn't feel like they have what it takes to make it happen, what would you say to them?
Being in your presence, being present should be your priority.
I love it.
So that is walking around your home and noticing. That is doing what I didn't do in the beginning and feeling and listening to my body. That is following the smallest of breadcrumbs, that jewelry gig, small breadcrumb that led me to a path that I had no idea was available to me. So presence is your priority.
I love that. And going back to what you were saying about listening,
Mm,
the importance of listening to
yes,
yourself and others. I mean, that's your superpower, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
can't be present unless we're listening. So yeah, wow. I love that. Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation.
This has been
Listener,
lovely.
you can connect with Sarah at sarabirdnelson.com. And I got to tell you, I am going to go away and walk around my house now and feel the abundance. So thank you so much for helping me see, opening my mind to this. It's just been so interesting. Thank you.
Tess, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that we have connected.
Oh, I just love her approach. The importance of listening to your body is a key takeaway from this conversation, isn't it? She had that wake up call where she felt numb and she was forced to listen to her body and recognize what stress felt like and how it manifested for her, and then how to take care of it. And that practice of speaking to your body that she was talking about, how she learned through Reiki to fully energetically invest in her being, and that the impact of your health and wellness affects all other parts of your life, as we talk about so often on this podcast. I really loved tapping into the energy of your surroundings, that you can create opportunities to check in and slow down the energy that you're bringing in from the outside world by placing the mirror by the front door as you place your keys down, having your bed facing the doorway so you can see what's coming and you're open to all of those new opportunities. And noticing the abundance that already exists in your life, that really spoke to me when she talked us through that. I felt myself feeling like I was definitely overlooking the ways that abundance presents itself in so many ways in my life, and how we overlook that abundant energy because we're holding on to the things that we lack or the things that we want next, instead of building on what already exists in our life, and how you can use that energy of your physical environment to tap into that abundance. It really spoke to me when she was talking about relationships and how when a relationship ends, we immediately move into that energy of lack, that I'm not good enough, I didn't do enough. I really loved her strategies for welcoming in love and connection. And when she said being present is your priority, all that deeply resonated with me. That practice of noticing what you're feeling, listening to your body, and following the breadcrumbs of your intuition. So you can consult with Sarah one-on-one. She's got group classes. You can learn all about it at sarabirdnelson.com, and leave a review and let me know what you thought about this episode. And I can't wait to hear what resonated for you in the Facebook group. I want to hear about your It Has to Be Me story. So head on over to ithastobeme.com/stories to share it in our free community. You can also join the conversations we're having about this episode and others. I'm Tess Masters. Join me next week and we'll dive inside another great story to help us go from dreaming to doing.